It's all too much. I think you said enough. It stinks hypocrisy to me.
I do hope that this week's antics in Parliament have woken everyone up and they'll finally see the threat that this country's facing with Islam. Now, before anyone barks at me and tries to pull that stupid, insignificant racist card, Islam isn't a flipping race, okay? It's an ideology and it's incompatible with the West. And I'm sorry, that's my opinion and I'm right. Simple as. So, let's just sort one thing out before we go on. This vote on a ceasefire, it should never have even been given parliamentary time. I would rather see issues of our country going through Parliament and discussed, like the injuries and all that sort of stuff, which they're just sweeping under the carpet. But now instead we have to talk about foreign affairs, which we have no influence over. That is not one jot. But basically, what happened was Keir Starmer had a word with Lindsay Hoyle to basically make sure this all goes through and that everyone calls for a ceasefire. Conservatives walked out because there's parliamentary procedures, boring me going into it, and probably most of you don't give a shit. So, but it was terribly wrong what Lindsay Hoyle did. Terribly wrong. And it isn't a proper functioning democracy when you act like that. It's complete. He should be gone. Okay? I don't care what anyone's stance on all of this is. We're talking about our country and how our constitution works. We should have a bloody written constitution, by the way. But anyway, so obviously there was a vote. Again, stupid, pointless vote. But there was an MP who said that he'd weighed up his decision to vote for a ceasefire based on him being scared for his own physical safety. So that's why he voted for a ceasefire, which he knows is insignificant. It's not a proper functioning democracy if you do that, is it? It's not how an elected representative should act. They're supposed to act for us, the people. Now, what I think's happened is obviously we open the floodgates, we let loads of undesirables in, loads of Allahu Akbars, and the elite thought it wouldn't really affect them. Cheap labour and all that nonsense. Whatever, I still don't understand why the floodgates have been opened. I don't understand how we're allowing this to happen. So that's for another day, that one. But this is where we are. So we've seen weekend after weekend after weekend after weekend in London with the old Free Palestines thing, or the Free Plasticines as I've heard a few people call it. Jihadi flags in London. Seriously, jihadi flags waving in London. And we've had From the River to the Sea being chanted, which surely you know what that actually means by now. For those who don't, it basically means eradicating Israel. Okay, getting rid of the Jews in that part of the world. Heard that before, haven't we? Yeah, heard that before with the Jews. So you've had all that, and you've even had that From the River to the Sea projected on a building last week, and the police did nothing. That's against the law, by the way, just in case you didn't know. You're not allowed to do that. So, and you're not, Hamas and all that sort of stuff, and Hezbollah, and they're all proscribed terrorist organisations, yet you can have these jihadi flags in there. We've had speakers calling for jihad, we're intifada's and all this lot, and nothing's happened. We're allowing it to happen because the police are scared. And the vote going through in Parliament was because the politicians were scared. They've had these free plasticines outside the houses and stuff, haven't they, chanting all this lot late at night, which would be quite intimidating. But they brought it on themselves, in my opinion. Should never have let this happen to our country. And I know there's going to be an awful lot of people who agree with me now. They know exactly where I'm coming from. But they're too scared to say it. But it's time to stop being scared to say it. You have to. Because otherwise you're just going to let everything happen. I predict that within 30 years, the UK will have Sharia law throughout. It will become majority Islam, Muslim. And believe me, you don't want that. You may be a snowflake virtue signalling shitbag that thinks that, oh, this diversity is our strength. Well, if you're a lady, you ain't going to have no rights, darling. You ain't having no rights. You're going to do exactly what your husband tells you. Gay people, that's going to stop, isn't it? You're not going to be allowed to be gay. They'll start throwing you off buildings. This is what Islam believes. Okay? Now, I'm not saying every Muslim follows Islam, just like every white boy like me doesn't follow Christianity or Catholicism, do we? Okay? And you'll have good people and you'll have bad people, same in every society. But I'll tell you what the Muslims won't do. They won't allow, well, they will protect their own. So they will not oust anyone who's extreme. We've seen it happen before. So I don't know what to say, to be honest with you. I don't know what to say. Because Labour are scared, our politicians are scared. Labour are scared because a lot of the seats or councils they hold are actually in Muslim-dominated towns and cities and wards, aren't they? Look at Rotherham. Why did they cover up the gangs? Because they're scared of an Islamic party coming out and then basically Labour would be wiped out. Simple as that. Labour would not be winning this next election that's coming up, which they are going to win if this is 20 years' time. Move forward 20. Yeah, probably not even that long. Maybe even 5 years. Unless everyone starts talking. Everyone starts speaking out. I don't quite know what people can do, but I do listen to Reverend Simon Sideways. I was listening to him this morning. And I do think he's got one good idea. And that's to get loads of independents into Parliament, because people are getting sick to death of these people in there at the moment, aren't they? And when you have plain speaking people, it's going so far down that road now, isn't it, where people are calling out for someone who just tells the truth and someone who says it as it is without all this bullshit fluff around it and being scared. Our politicians have just given in to a bully, and now we're on a slippery slope. Absolutely diabolical, and you should be worried. You should be shitting your pants now. I'm not even going over the top. You see what happens in the next year or two. In fact, if you've been awake, you've been noticing what's been going on for the last 10 years, and even more so in the last 2 years. I'll leave it there. Have a discussion amongst yourselves. Well, I'll read them in the comments if you want to. Yeah, let us know what you think. What do you think? How do you think it can change? Because I'm worried for Great Britannia. Right?